Yar! Welcome to Fail Portrayal, yar. It do be International Talk Like a Pirate Day, a yar. And I be doing this voice the entire time. Unless ye be considering giving me your doubloons. No, actually, I don't think there's any way I can commit to doing this for 2 hours.
I feel like we're out of. I feel like
If you guys want me to try and like read the card text in the pirate voice, be sure to give me a sign. And by a sign, I mean a super chat.
$2 per pirate voice for you.
Yeah, sure. It's a great going rate. All right, hold on. It's ready.
Adam, I'm sorry, but I don't think we can keep the bit going if at least not sound annoying after 5 minutes.
Very true. Yes. Well, that was why I was going to threaten them with money. But hi, welcome to Fail Portrayal. So last time we finished off all of Visa Sturfist as we know it for now, until they decide to do more, which could be any time. I think the newest announced set for the OCG is called Legacy of Destruction.
It could be anything.
Could literally be anything. So
I think besides maybe some chaos monsters in there I guess, but that's really it.
I don't know. I mean,
probably not.
They would probably save more chaos stuff for a set that has chaos in the name because there's been several of those.
I mean, the only thing I think of destruction is Infernoids, but they're already showing Infernoid cards in there, so I guess they are doing some weird like epilogue. They are doing some like epilogue support for what was it again? Let me check. I have it.
I'm pretty sure there have been some sets that have been named Destruction before. Definitely a lot of sets that are named Legacy. Usually those are bangers. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that right now. So to remind everybody what we're doing the deck build packs. These are packs that are released, which usually follow a format of having basically 3 different archetypes worth of support in them. You know, most of the time these are new premieres, but some of them were not. Like, they got their start technically as just like almost like baby duelist packs, you know, building up stuff like Raid Raptors, Phantom Knights, etc. But they eventually like actually became what we call deck build packs. They're not branded that way in the TCG, but they're the deck build packs. Trust me. So we're going to start with Dark Saviors, which is the first proper deck build pack. We've already covered vampires. So our coin flip was Sky Striker or Fur Hire. As you can see, it's Fur Hire because they're like Sky Pirates, and it be talk like a pirate day, yar. Do ye have your number 2 pencil for the Scantron test? That's a Sly Cooper 3 Honor Amongst Thieves reference, chat, yar.
I enjoyed that trilogy, but I don't have any pencils in my house anymore.
But that's fair. I have pencils. I don't know if they're number 2, though.
I have erasable pens, though. Because I like those.
But yeah, so there's a lot of funny stuff to talk about for her. Also, chat, don't let me forget, remind me at the end if I haven't brought it up instinctively. But after this session ends, because I do be looking at me grocery bill. It do be a grocery week, and it do be slightly higher than I'd like, yar. So I'm going to remember to post on Patreon. It'll be open for all patrons, so it's not exactly going to be like a giant money-making scheme. But I'm going to open a discussion thread where people can basically comment suggestions for future Lucky Guesses if Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are good streams. I'll post the cards I've already got on my list now, so there's no duplicates, and, we'll figure it all out. But it's just something to keep in mind. So anyway, we're going to go down the line here. Hypothetically, Dallas or Loth could join us. I kind of hope Loth would at some point, but he might be dead.
He's in the...
He also lives in the Bill dimension, the dimension of Bills, so... Dallas should be able to figure it out. I would like Loth to maybe chime in because he was one of the people who I believe tried to make For Hire work in our Prague series at a couple of points. There were several. It was a deck build pack. It was very easy to assemble. And as usual, I should throw this out there. Part of the reason why I want to do this is because usually the way deck build packs go is one of the archetypes is fucking pure meta crack banger. Almost instantly becomes a huge success. The other 2 are usually, like, considered pack filler or bad. In Dark Saviors, the winner is Sky Striker. It is part of the namesake of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Format, so Sky Striker was good. arguably as an engine, still is really good. It's annoying as fuck whenever I see it in Master Duel, just because I know that they're going to have the infinite conga line of assholes. And while Vampire has joined the general rogue decatude of Zombie, that was mostly through, like, modern Legacy support. Nothing from the... I mean, there are some of the cards from the 2018 era. But, yeah. Also, technically, the first ever, like, deck build pack... Let me see. Yeah, it was technically Spirit Warriors, but we've literally talked about all of those. That was the Secret Six Sam, the Weather, and Magical Musket. We have actually hit up all those.
Like, how many deck build packs do we got? I guess archetypes we got to cover left.
Lots. I haven't counted, but it's many. This, keep in mind, they release at least usually like 2 of these a year. Honestly, more, I think, in some years when production was good. And the first one we're covering is from early to mid 2018. So we've got about 5 years of these with 3 archetypes per to go through. So it should keep us happy for at least, a decent chunk of the year. But yeah, so Fur Hire has also not really been a meta deck. It's been rogue a couple of times. In general, a lot of their latest support has been, honestly, like, really, really good. We'll talk about a few of their key legacy supports they've gotten. But it's still not enough to really take them over, though in a regional in December last year, they did get a 5th place top. They made it past, the top 8 level, almost a top 4. Their previous top was in March 2019, where they finished in the, I guess the division round, because it says it was 35th place, so I guess that would be top 64 probably, is the division. Maybe something in the 40s, not actually sure how they'd break that up. But that was Fur Hire Control. So Fur Hires, not super meta-competitive. They've been close a couple of times, but they are generally a loved or hated deck, I think, mostly entirely because they are a deck that in the TCG is full of puns. This is not a world premiere archetype, so this was out in the OCG first, but they just called it Kugadan, Skyfang Brigade. And the Fur Hires are, well, they are indeed all anthropomorphic, furry, and or scaly, and or fishy, and possibly some featheries. They are, all different types and attributes as a result. They're kind of a one of those, mashup archetypes where Konami just really puts anything in there. However, somebody in the TCG department had the brilliant plan to make them a pun, and so all of their monsters are known as Fur Hire. Get it? It's like For Hire, but with fur, even though some of them don't have fur. The main thing you want to keep in mind is almost all of them are named in such a way that is unique from the normal way for PCST. So, for instance, when we get to our... Actually, I'll just go ahead and grab our first ever boy so we can put them on screen so we can talk about the naming convention. But this first one is known as... Let me make sure I'm copying the right image size. So this is Beat, Bladesman Fur Hire. All of them have that kind of naming scheme, as opposed to the normal way you would do this would be, Fur Hire Beat, or Fur Hire Bladesman Beat, or Fur Hire, Beat Bladesman. The way that these are usually translated in Japanese is, Kugadan no whatever, so, he's Kugadan no Kenshi Bito. Beat, Swordsman of the Skyfang Brigade. So, not quite the same pun. They have a few more of these, by the way. So in French, they are Mercenaire. Mercenary would be the literal way to translate that. In German, they are Fellsoldner, Fur Mercenary, which is similar to how the Italian is, which is also, by the way, because it's Italian, really long. They are known as Perizia Mercenaria, Mercenary Fur. In Portuguese, they managed to keep the pun pretty on point. That's just de Peluguel. Peluguel? I'm not sure about my Portuguese pronunciation. That means fur rent. And in Spanish, they are known as mascota esúledo, hired pet, or hired mascot.
Animal for hire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the bit of like they've gone, as I'm used to from my I guess one of my main source of I guess knowing about cards. How it's like they've done the linguistic mastery of how you say it's a monster for hire. Like they've done this where they've re-languaged and re-grammared all of the card text to fit the pun.
Yeah, this is something I was going to bring up after talking about their different names, and Axe is correct. I said it earlier, they don't follow normal PCST. So they say, for instance, one of the ones that has a special summon, effect is special summon a monster for hire from your graveyard. So you're going to see that phrase a lot because, as Axe brought up just now, they have this weird format, which is very interesting. And while it doesn't follow the normal flow of PCST, it's very unique and flavorful and makes these guys pretty memorable, even though, again, they're honestly mostly just a rogue deck. They have a very specific aesthetic, hence why we called
the video. One of like their latest monsters, their Link 2, that I think was like the last card that came out, it's been useful. I don't know why it's in a lot of meta decks nowadays, but I think it's useful because I think it just, you can...
I
don't know why, because I don't know if they do that already.
Donner is, I think, is the latest one. Yeah, it was Darkwing Blast last year.
I don't know why.
That's just that. Spoilers. We'll talk about its exact effect later. But I think the reason why it's good is because that's a Link 2 that's just 2 monsters with different types. It doesn't necessarily exclude tokens. It's just completely generic, while also still being good in for hire. And it suffers from the problem a lot of generic support does, where obviously that card is actually really good for hires, but because it is completely generic, it works as an engine pick for other decks that have other extra deck things. Here. Yeah, for hire ends up with a lot of control elements because they focus on special summoning and then triggering effects based on if you control other monsters for hire. Honestly, if Konami wants them to be good, they need to actually print them fucking spell traps. They still only have, like, 4 total. Period. One of which is a field spell. And doesn't include the normal for hire naming scheme. But yeah, so keep all this in mind as we run down the line. So, first of all, just art-wise, Beat lets you know everything you need to know about this archetype. He is some kind of nondescript furry animal creature, anime boy. I think he's technically wearing a fur cloak, but he could just have, like, a furry back. He's got, like, kind of like a little rabbit face, but then he's got, like, deer ears. I think the horns are an accessory because one of them is like punched through like a shield and or a badge, but he could have horns. Who the fuck cares? And he's got a sword. The perspective on this sword is really fucked, but otherwise it's pretty normal. You've just missed our preamble about talking about this deck because I need you to explain how the naming scheme for hire works. Yar, and if you be wanting me to read the effect text of cards in a pirate voice because it be talking like a pirate day, consider dropping a super chat or a channel membership, yar. Yes, I think, especially because a lot of them have, little cutesy, anime proportions. Some people may not recognize all the details in these guys without looking at them up close, so yeah, no, Beat is definitely some kind of fuzzy little critter. He's got, like, my first instinct is to say cat, but he definitely doesn't have cat ears, right? He's got, like, cat paws, and he's got, like, whiskers. Oh, yeah, he's wearing a feather cloak. But yeah, that's Beat. He's got a sword. Beat, Bladesman for Hire, is an Earth Warrior. Yes, not a Beast Warrior, a Warrior. As I said before, they're all loosey-goosey with the types of these guys. He's a foe, that's correct. Foe is foe. He is a level 3 Earth Warrior, 1200 attack, 1500 defense. During your main phase, you may special summon a monster for hire, a for hire creature from your hand, except Beat. If a monster for hire is special summoned while you control this monster, except during a damage step, add a monster for hire from your deck to your hand, except Beat. You only use each effective Beat once per turn. So, yeah, Beat's a pretty common starter. He lets you instantly special summon to extend, and also when you special summon, you can instantly search. Well, he's a 3, so I don't think that's an issue in Zodiac, but this was 2018, so they definitely understood how Tenki worked. On the other hand, this guy is a Rota target, but that probably makes this deck better, because being able to Rota your Stratos, basically, it's pretty cool. It's almost like there was a reason Stratos was, limited at once upon a time, because you get to play 4 Rotas in Hero.
So it just turns out that he became also the staple of, I guess, people say is maybe the escalation of Yu-Gi-Oh! Design.
I mean, not really. Technically, I think there were Stratos monsters before Stratos. There are cards that search on summon. It's just that Stratos was like... Stratos has a good stat line, he has a good archetype, and a good type. So, like, he may have... Stratos was probably the first Stratos you could ever, like I said, quad search, because you can play 3 E-Call and at least 1 Rota. And I don't know if Rota was limited by the time they got there. Oh, okay. So that's the thing Axe and I mentioned earlier. These cards break PCST but are still read out. So the way you read this is, instead of saying if a for hire monster, you say if a monster for hire, which if you don't get the pun in English, for hire, they're mercenaries, with an O instead of an This is honestly this is like, because these guys don't even have a pun in Japanese. This is probably the closest we get to like how the wordplay normally works for the OCG, is the for hire shit. But yeah, it's an odd one. And then let's grab our next one. These guys started as a monster mash deck, but they ended up being kind of a link deck as well. So keep that in mind. All right, our next one is Bravo. Fighter for hire. Kugada no Toshi Bravo. So, just fighter. He is a lizardman with Voldo claws. Honestly, for an anime lizard man, Bravo's pretty good. He's wearing pants. He's got some weapons that are a little over-designed. There are demon faces on the back of his Voldo claws, but like they look pretty cool. He's got a good color scheme.
Why do I feel like we've seen this guy before?
I mean, because he is one of your essential plays.
Okay, I really feel like
you have been hit with a... Also, another joke I was going to make was, he does kind of look like an off-brand Laval.
I guess, but maybe it's just I remember looking at his art smaller, and it's just like...
you have absolutely been bravoed for hire in your time in Prague.
Yeah, so it's probably just that. Like, oh, right.
This is one of your essential playmakers. Yeah. I mean, the phrase they use here is Toshi, like just mean fight boy, as opposed to Kenshi, like sword man. But yeah, Bravo Fighter for hire is a fire reptile level 4. He has 900 attack, 200 defense, so he's got one of your better stat lines. He has the pretty similar effect of, during your main phase, you can special summon a monster for hire from your hand, and then if a monster for hire is special summon while you control this monster during the damage step, you can have all for hires currently on the field gain 500 attack and defense until the end of this turn. So while not a perfect attack modulation effect, he is a 1900. If you summon him with his summon effect, and then you apply the effect, he is a good normal summon because you will get a big attack boost out of this. He becomes a, 2400 guy for a normal summon, which is pretty solid.
Is he like that? He's 1900, 200, right?
Yes. He has a fire 200, so he's rekindling.
I remember him being a salamander. It looks like a salamander. It's like, oh wait, he's probably a fire. And I asked, and I guess he has the rekindling stat line, so yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, that may have seen him put in some weird tech decks.
I've just never seen rekindling decks work.
You just weren't playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At the right time period.
I've never seen them work past like 2012.
I'm pretty sure rekindling decks were in the Xyz era, which would include a few years after 2012.
Okay, then there's more. Okay, then
you haven't seen a rekindling deck work in the Link era. That's true, but that's I think because Konami realized they can't. I haven't seen a
rekindling deck in 6 years.
I think that's because Konami realized they can't make literally every fire deck revolve around rekindling.
But they keep doing that. They keep giving them the 200 defense.
Well, it's so that you can play the support for some decks, but it's not every deck. In Infernoble don't. I think some of them have the rekindling possible stat line, but some of them do not. So you just don't bother because you play all the other stuff.
When you say Infernoble, you remind me of the one of like the Yu-Gi-Oh design. I feel like I wish was more common. Because,
I mean.
I basically it's like one of my favorite design cards is Alexander the Great, or it's Charles the Great.
Charlemagne literally just came out this year, so you got to give him time.
It's one of my favorite designed cards.
I don't even know if it to be good.
No, it's my favorite designed card and how he works.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like you can't. This is I think Konami's first crack at a card that is quite like that, other than like Zealantis, which isn't exactly like that because it's a Link 4 that just says 1+ monsters, but. If that's gonna work, they're gonna take a while to cycle that out and try that gimmick with other cards. But yeah, so Bravo is your attack modulator. He is one of your good normal summons because he lets you extend, for a free body, like almost all of them do. And also, he is a large boy. He's a big boy. And you can probably see, chat, why this deck became a Link deck, because it would have been a Link deck in 2018. It's just that, they didn't have some of their Link monsters right out the gate. This was actually... For Hire was actually supposed to be a main deck boss monster deck. But our next card is not a boss. No, that's really off-center. Hold on. This being Donpa, Marksman for Hire. Donpa, Marksman of the Skyframe Brigade.
Think of One Piece. It's just the slingshot sniper.
Yeah. I mean, they're Sky Pirates, so he's riding a little, like, glider with a slingshot. Got some goggles.
Reminds me of, I guess, it also just reminds me of, like, I think, Horizon, mostly because you can... A slingshot's good for grenades.
I'm going to say these aesthetics are peak PS2 era.
Stars Arcadia kind of shit, yeah. Even though I don't know that game that well.
No, wow, okay.
No.
Axe is a baby. I don't even know if remembers what PS2 games are. I'm thinking,
I played a bunch.
Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Spyro.
The ones I could just never buy. Okay. The ones I just...
How could you not buy those? Those were all PlayStation classics. Greatest hits.
Because everyone had them, so I never felt this desire to play them because everyone just showed me everything.
But yeah, no, this is very much PS2 era. Attack of the Power of Juju.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Anything in that wheelhouse, I think fits what we've got going on with Donpa. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a fox, but he could also be, a really weird raccoon.
I think it's a backseers.
No, he's got a fluffy tail and doesn't have wings. Though, that could be a pun because of flying foxes, which are a type of bat.
Phoenix, yeah.
Also, by the way, you'll notice, chat, that these guys basically don't have, like, altered names. Like, they're proper names anyway. In the OCG, they're just given, like, a random name that sounds like a name for a character out of some sort of PS2 era action game. So, yeah, they just, like, his name is just Donpa in the OCG, and so they just translated it as Donpa. So, Donpa is a Wind Beast, level 2, 500 attack, 1,000 defense. Yes, this is a Wind Beast. Which I do believe there probably are not a lot of Wind Beasts. It has the main phase effect to special summon another one. And then if a for hire monster is special summoned, while you control this monster specifically, you can pop a face-up card. So Donpa is your pop. And with these three, I think you guys can basically see the line. The idea is you summon one. Usually a card like a Beat or a Bravo is a good start. Though Bravo you usually want to mix in somewhere towards the middle of your combo because it's all you're currently face-up. marksmans or face-up for hires that get the thing. But Donpa's a pop when you summon another card, so it can be your normal, but usually you mix it in there because they just kind of daisy chain together into another guy, and then you keep going. You keep on keeping on. I believe that, while not necessarily, like, you don't have to play at 3, because you do have searchers, Donpa's a good enough card that a modern deck would still play, like, at least one. So then next we have one of the original main deck type bosses, Dyna, Hero for Hire. He is a punchline.
This guy's just big.
He's big.
Yeah. Horns.
He's wearing. I think that's part of his shoulder rig is the tusks. He's got.
He does have the aesthetic of like I think I'd see in like an early to mid 2000s game.
Yeah.
The guy that's like really cool in a fight, but he never does anything because technically he would have like because you're playing the weird skinny dude that takes contact damage.
That's an oddly specific analogy, but I'll allow it.
But it happens in most of those PS2 games.
I don't know. Jack's pretty ripped in Jak 2.
Well, that's because that's like the magic steroids. Against his will.
But yeah, Dyna Hero for Hire is just, you know, Kuida no Goketsu. Hero of the Skyfang Brigade. And this was supposed to be one of your big enders. You're supposed to this at the end of the combo. I mean, he's got pants. That's interesting. Some parts of these are good. And I like the action shot. Good speed lines. Good punching a rock. Oh, is there a Lion Man in Marvel who looks a lot like this? Or is there a character named Dyna? Because you can't say that this is a play on Heroes for Hire because it is literally spelled differently. It's Hero for Hire.
Also, Heroes for Hire is it's a title. You can't really copyright a term like that.
I mean, yes, you can though.
Without being literally soulless.
If
whatever.
DC probably does have a comic books copyright on using the phrase Heroes for Hire. Unless it's too generic to copyright, there might be some.
Well, Heroes for Hire, Heroes for Hire would be more of a Marvel thing because.
Right. Yes. No. Right. Yeah. It is the other way around. It's Marvel. Yeah. No. That's why for copyright it has a fur in it. You cannot be confused, legally speaking. This is why you often see subtle. Yeah, I think his I like the action shot. I think his proportions are a little off. There's something on there. Anyway, this is an Earth Beast Warrior. This is an Earth Beast Warrior, level 6. So this is a Beast Warrior, by the way. Just a warrior. This guy, Beast Warrior. He's level 6, 2500 attack, 1400 defense. So summon skull type stats. If this card is special summoned, that's right, he has a slightly different effect text. If this card is special summoned, banish cards from your opponent's graveyard up to the number of monsters for hire you control with different names. You only use this effect of Dyna once per turn. Monsters your opponent controls cannot target for hire monsters you control for attacks except this one. So, yeah, you can immediately tell that Dyna was not the hero they were hoping for. Yes, okay, cool, you can... DD Crow for 5. We have a card that does that already. It's called Soul Release. Nobody plays it, except barring very specific deck circumstances.
Or unless you're Simo trying to be an asshole.
That's a very specific purpose is playing. Also, did he actually play Soul Release in that build? I thought it was just
He did it to fight. He did it to fight Dragon Rulers.
Okay, it was in the... I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, that's like...
There's another thing
you already have the anti-meta pick. You don't need to run an in-engine big boy guy who doesn't extend further.
The latest thing with Simo, he won out of just him having amazing hands even when they're bad.
Well, that's always been true. Simo's not actually that good at Yu-Gi-Oh! He's just the luckiest motherfucker alive.
And Gage tries, but I think Gage is only good at doing modern decks most of the time.
Gage tries. I think his main problem, not that we should really need to relitigate fucking progression again. We've been doing this for literal years, but Gage, I think, didn't have good sensibilities for deck building for Legacy formats. When he actually started listening to support from like other people in the community, like I Wish I Was Dead and other guys like that even before that, I think that Gage is pretty good at actually practicing and figuring out how to play his decks when they're built competently. He just is not necessarily the best at ratios in Legacy formats. But yeah, no. Dyna is like, you can see where they're going with this. The problem is that as a weird floodgate / end board monster, because remember, this guy doesn't have the special summon additional guy effect. You want to summon him as your 5th for hire. It's pointless. Literally just play 3 copies of Soul Release instead. Or DD Crow if you're that concerned. There already exist hand traps and meta cards that work as an anti-meta pick. And even though he does give you some battle protection, he's only got Summon Skull stats. That's not really super worth it. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. Also, we're at about 30 minutes, so I must regretfully bid you adieu for a sec. I have to go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm drinking a lot of water because it's been hot and dry lately. So I'll burb you. We're just doing for hire tonight. They're short enough I probably could patch another one because they don't have a lot of spell traps, but the next one in sequence would have been Sky Striker, which does have a fuck ton of cards. Alright, so I'm going to resume being unmutant and deafened, and I will switch the scene back because I've already prepared our next card.
Good on you.
This is Philo, Messenger for Hire. Or possibly Philo, or possibly Philo.
They're precious.
Yeah. Philo's just kind of, they're a little bird. This is interesting, by the way. This is the first card. I could have pulled them in, release support, but most of these came out, 4 or 5 years ago. So, with the exception of, the one Link and the one main deck monster, who we will talk about in time. There's not really that much a difference in their era, but this one was released in Dark Neostorm, so this was, their follow-up support. And yeah, Philo's just a little bird chick, wearing a little, vest, and apparently delivering scrolls via yelling.
Team Crier.
Listen, when you go to the game hub, you need a little NPC with an exclamation point over their head to tell you what you got to do some stuff.
I mean, hey, if it was an actual game, he'd be the guy on the ship deck that basically tells you about game updates.
So Philo is a winged beast, level 1/0/0, so is a 1/1 target, which also would probably be useful in this deck. During your main phase, you can special summon one monster for hire. Except Philo If a monster is special summoned while you control this card, target a for hire in your graveyard and special summon in defense position and place it on the bottom of the deck if it leaves the field. You can only use each effective Philo once per turn. So this is a really interesting one because Philo is an extender after you've already got some guys in the graveyard. That became really good when they got Link support because that means that you can, summon 2, summon another one, and then, set them back. But still a very decent target if you have guys in the graveyard. That still works, by the way, for I mentioned the 1-for-1 strat. 1-for-1 makes you pitch a monster, so that would set up your graveyard. And the special summon in defense position, but place it at the bottom of the deck is actually, arguably a really good effect. You have, searchers and that sort of power in here, right? And this deck doesn't really do anything about banishment recovery, at least unless that's one of the more newer cards I'm not as familiar with. So letting you recycle is very funny. Get some stuff out there. And being a, wind-winged beast, this is actually, in a decent splash zone of types. All right. Here's one that you may have seen before, just because it's one of the funnier arts, especially out of the original back. This is Helmer. Helmsman for hire. So they are some kind of freaky fish guy. And poor Helmer looks so done with this. He's just so tired. And maybe the hat is uncomfortable.
I don't think he gets to sleep because he's the one always piloting.
He's got a captain's coat on. That's cool. The pants. Not cool. He is wearing, or at least I think he's wearing shoes because they're the same color as his pants, or he has the world's shortest socks on.
I think they're more just toe covers because he basically has he's got fish feet, so I think it's to avoid contact damage.
He could stand on wood. Though they might be obviously the artist who drew this was going for a look with the costume, right? With the pirate shirt, the puffy pants, the coat, the hat. There are actual boating style shoes you're supposed to wear, which are supposed to be both waterproof and non-slip, so you don't fucking slide off. So they may have just tried to keep that in the assemble, and it doesn't really work with the paw feet, but we're trying. Once again, great background detail though, the helm. There's a map over there that I think he's looking at this map at his offhand. You can see the rest of the rigging and stuff, and this whole steering call apparatus. Lots of good detail work. Very funny expression, like I said, that you may have seen this before. And this is, like I said, just Kugana no Dashu Helmer, helmsman of the Skyfang Brigade. So yes, the fact that it always is helm, helm. Not a great idea, Yu-Gi-Oh team, but we'll work on your grammar later. Helmer is a water aqua, level 3, 0 attack, 2000 defense. Has the special summon effect, and then if a monster is special summoned while you control this card, you can discard a for hire monster, draw 1. So both of those are hopped, but yes, Helmer gives you the ability to draw, and also, like I said, the graveyard setup is important because you have cards like Philo later, so, getting guys into your graveyard as part of your normal summoning combo is not hard. The main thing is just, what are you hoping for off draw 1, but it's still pretty good, the worst you can probably hope for is to hit a new name, and then, obviously, there are going to be, other potentials you can scoop up. All right. Now we're going to talk about the card that is, I think, still technically the boss monster of this archetype. The actual payoff, and despite being from that original wave of support, has remained the payoff. It's... Actually, hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, I think it would be pronounced Rafale. Champion for hire. The OCG name for this is Kugada no Eiyu Rafaru. So I think it's Rafale. This is also would be written as, Rafale or Rafale, hero of the Skyfang Brigade. And I'm just, reminded of a certain song that was on Guitar Hero 2. Rafale was just a man. Or maybe he was just a dragon man. Or maybe he was just a dragon. Trogdor! I have to do it that way, by the way, because if I actually screech Trogdor, I'm going to blow out the microphone, my voice, and probably my windows. But yeah, this is Rafale. He is a dragon. He's a little bit of a weird dragon. Like, despite the fact that anime can draw some badass dragons and can draw some cute dragons, he's still a little bit in the cartoonish zone, and he has, like, hair, and I think ears and stuff, but, like, and the metal jaw plate is a little weird, but still pretty good detail work, lots of extra stuff in, like, the scales, and I like that he is one of the few ones that actually is wearing, like, armor, not over, his vital organs. I don't know why the Skyfang Brigade are allergic to shirts. I guess it's just part of the sex appeal, but I do like the armor he's got going on. It looks pretty good. He's got a pretty nice sword in his setup. He's got, like, wings, tail. The background is nice, but I do wish it was a little more illustrative. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's just jumping through the sky at somebody, but it's a little bit of a weird pose for that, but still pretty decent detail all around. Good coloring.
It's like a post-attack pose.
Yeah. This is the shot you get when you do the all-out attack. But yeah, Rafale is your big boy. He is your main man. Because Rafale is a light dragon, level 8. 2800 attack, 2200 defense, so actual, stats. If this card is special summoned, you can excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of fur hires you control with different names, except Rafale. So you have to control at least one other to make this work. If you do, add one of them to your hand, shuffle the rest back. That's right. This is a pot of duality, but without the special summon lock. You get to just dig as many fur hires as you have deep and add whatever the fuck you want, which is still really powerful in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, keep in mind, like I said, normally the cost to do something like that is on, like, a prosperity or a duality, right? Like, those are heavy hitters to dig deep like that. This guy, you can hypothetically, you can access the EMZ, so hypothetically you can dig 5 deep if you get a really good hand.
Dig 5 deep and then go into the...
and then its second effect is when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can discard 1 card for hire. So that's 1 card for hire, by the way, not 1 monster. Negate the activation. You can only use each effect of Rafale once per turn. So Rafale is a monster negate once per turn. And he's an excavator. And he's a 2800 body. Rafale is a great card. I'm pretty sure if you're trying to play for hires right now, you're running at least 1 copy of him. Just because, he's pretty searchable off something like a beat, etc. And just is a pretty good guy. Like, if you get this, if your setup goes off correctly, you're going to have a lot of names on board. He's going to end your combo. And this is also, by the way, why Dyna was never that cool. Because you would just not run Dyna and run as many copies as Rafale as you could. This guy actually had to go to, I think, limit or ban. Probably ban then limit, I think, if that's how our prog worked. But we had to hit this guy in our own series because he was just a super accessible monster negate and excavator who also was just a big boy. Like, he was freakishly accessible at 3 copies in our own prog series. So, yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. I'm gonna guess this may be why Konami is hesitant to print more spell traps for hires, because Rafale could discard those for a monster effect. But in that case, they should probably get over it. I don't know what they're so scared of about discard to negate. But he does hypothetically discard your spell traps if those are blocking up your hand. right. Our next one is, because we're just going in alphabetical order until we hit the extra deck. This is Recon, Scout for Hire.
I think it's their sister. I guess it's their sibling.
Yeah.
I was gonna say sister, but I'm not sure.
Nah. It's got a. She's got kind of like a feminine haircut and like a little hair bangle thing. I'm gonna assume this is supposed to be like, Donpa's sister. Donpa was our marksman. This is Recon. This is a slightly different translation, by the way. They did actually change the translation a little. In Japanese, this is Kugedan no Hisho Recon. So Recon, literally the flying scout of the Skyframe Brigade. So they just made it Scout for Hire, keeping our general vibes, but, you know, keeping it concise. I guess that you can infer that she flies by the card art, which is pretty cute. You know, in kind of like the Recon balloon. You've got a telescope. You've got a little, you know, phone line for your fucking, you know, can on a shoestring to call down to base. Giant fucking sword, which is very funny. So, pretty alright. I do like the subtle character differences, like I said, to compared to Donpa. Like, you've got like a little, you know, scarf here to tie hair back, wearing like a little cape. Got, like I said, you know, female anime eyes and like, you know, a little hair dangly. It's nice. It's a good effect. Also, again, very dynamic. You've got like this balloon in the background, great wind shots, the wind blowing through with the leaves. Very solid stuff. And Recon is basically just, like I said, just the mirror to Donpa. Recon is also a wind beast, level 2, 1000 attack, 500 defense. During your main phase, you can special summon, and then if For Hire is special summoned, you can pop a set card. You can only use this effect once per turn, so... Donpa is for face-up cards. Recon is for set cards. Both work. Both are decent pops, you know. Obviously, popping set cards can, depending on the context, be a little more problematic than popping face-up cards. Because depending on what you're dealing with, your opponent can just trigger a card. But, you know, for the most part, it's still pretty good to keep track of all that stuff. So, let's pull up our next bit of support. And this is one of the couple pieces of legacy support they got in Darkwing Blast late last year. This is Rex, Freight for Hire. Merp. Some of the early translations were like Rex, Cargo for Hire. Freight, I think, is probably seems like it's a more literal translation. But yeah, it's a dinosaur in a crate. It was originally an egg in a crate, but then it hatched, and now it's a dinosaur. I don't know if the archetype has an in-archetype book. They might. We'll find out as we go on. But yeah, this is Rex.
I will say just from, like, I guess, visual storytelling, this feels like because it's in a treasure box. This is one of the loot they were getting, and it turns out it was just babies. Yeah,
they were paid with this, or to transport this, or they stole it off somebody, and it turned out to be... Because you'll notice that, one, again, Rex is called Freight for Hire, but also, Rex is not really anthropomorphized. Like, maybe they could grow up to be, like, a giant dinosaur man, but, like... They look just kind of like a cartoon dinosaur, you know.
Yeah. I'm also thinking the weird thing with like these are all the members of the crew, and then I think then like the actual like officers and captains are like or weird thing. Are the Link monsters like actually part of the crew, or are they more of like?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are.
People.
They're part of the squad, you know, because of how the names work. But we can discuss more about anything odd about their naming scheme when we get there. It's still Rex from Buster Blader. No, this is not a Buster Whelp. Also, it's a dinosaur, not a dragon, even though we know those get confused sometimes. So Rex is a Earth dinosaur, level 2, 300 attack, 200 defense. If this card is normal or special, that's right. We have developed a normal summon. And inherently on normal summon effect, but also when specialed. You can add one spell/trap for hire from your deck to your hand. During your main phase, if you control a for hire monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a card for hire in your graveyard, and either add it to your hand or special summon it if it's a monster. You can use each effect of Rex once per turn. So yeah, Rex is, while not a do-everything card, is very obviously like Konami remembering, oh yeah, for hires exist. It's been a couple of years. Let's give them a good card. So this is a card that searches spell traps. You don't have a lot of them, but it does search them on normal or special, and it has an effect in graveyard. You can banish it because, again, your deck doesn't have a lot of graveyard interaction. You do have to worry about Philo to summon back and search again, but in that case, you would just summon and search again, you know. So you can banish this card to recycle a for hire or special summon it, which can start proccing effects because that means you can get one of your guys on board. A pretty decent card. It is a quick effect, by the way, to do that special summon, so that can be kind of interesting, you know, way to make those work. Most of them, unfortunately, only have their special summon effect during your main phase, but still, it can let you do a couple of chaotic things. And, you know, hey, if you have a whatchamacallit, or a Fallen Grave, you know, you can quick effect summon him on your opponent's turn. But yeah, Rex is a very, not a do-everything card, but still a very decent support piece that this deck probably needed, giving you a spell trap searcher and giving you, you know, more graveyard recovery. All right, so our next one here is
kind of really dumb thing.
No, Zed, that's not how that works. Remember, their effects only proc when you summon a for hire while you control those cards. So you would already have to have a recon on board and then summon a different one. It is still let you proc their effects on your opponent's turn as a quick effect because normally they only summon during your main phase, but it's a slightly different setup than you're thinking. But it is still a good tool for that purpose. This is Sagitta, Maverick for hire. Kugadan no Koko Sagitta, Maverick of the Skyframe Brigade. Sagitta as in arrow. She is a bird.
There's a weird front to that barrel, because I don't know what's going on there. It feels like it's a cap, I guess, to like flash hide?
Yeah. Actually, hold on. Let me double check. Is this? No, this is not.
Screw it on,
this is
like,
not censored. So it's not like they had to redraw
I do like the dumb beat
gun.
of how, like, I don't know if it's like her hooves are broken or it's more of like she's wearing heels, but not really, because I think it's actually just her foot that has. Like,
I mean, if I had to guess, I would guess that technically she probably has like talon feet, but the way you draw that, you know, with wearing boots is she's wearing like weird high-heeled boots. Got really big long feathers with some hearts. I'm just gonna say, clearly the artist had fun, possibly too much fun drawing this, with her fucking, you know, cut off top. I believe what Mr. BT would call a pinchable waist, leather pants, but very bird head.
Reminds me of like a Souls character, but that's a very specific thing.
But yeah, I agree with you that I'm not sure what's supposed to be going on with the gun here. Is it like a laser gun? Is it a magic gun? If it's like a rifle grenade, it's shaped really weirdly. I don't know. Thank you, Zed. Also, yes, I bet Mark would smash. But that's okay. Those videos are fucking dumb.
I mean, I won't fight people on trying. It's like,
All right, so Sagitta is a winged beast, wind level 5, 2400 defense, 1200 attack. So kind of got that line going on. And you've probably never seen this one because she has a burn effect. If this card is special summon, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each for higher monster you control a different name, except Sagitta. You know, this effect once per turn. Your opponent cannot target monsters for higher with card effects except this one. So this is kind of the the more defensive side, I think of Dyna. So it gives you targeting protection, and it gives you a burn effect. Unfortunately, I would assume, based on cards like Rafale's stat line and Bravo, while generally For Hire is considered a control-type deck, your end goal is to basically out-tempo your opponent with a shitload of monsters and then either force them to concede or clutch them out with, monster spam OTK stuff. Sagittarius is not very good at that with her defensive stat line. Yes, this is a hard once per turn. And it's a maximum of, again, with links, technically 2,500 damage. But, yeah, they didn't actually need to put it with a hopped. They really didn't need to say that it excludes Sagitta. So, yeah, no. You cannot, there's no such thing as a For Hire FTK, at least not using just Sagitta and in-engine. So, yeah, I'm sure you've probably never seen this one in decks. The protection effect is cute. It's probably not worth running a level 5 brick who, I guess maybe if you're fighting another control deck, you might side deck her so you can win in time, but we're talking some very advanced level side decking strats here. Loth is crawling out of bed as we are most of the way through our monsters. We do have a couple more main deckers.
Like 5 or 4?
4 or so, I think. And then obviously spell traps and stuff. There's a field spell and a couple of other things to at least mention.
Fair enough. You always gotta mention the field spell that searches the starter. Probably not true, but hey.
It might. I hope that their field spell is good because it's not technically in archetype. Unless it says it is. I don't remember, but it's called...
They should make...
its name is Fandora the Flying Fortress. Yes, you heard me right.
That's cute.
Okay, so this is... Seal, Strategist for Hire. Is he a seal? I don't know. Interesting, by the way, this is a card that, again, they actually changed this one's meaning a little bit in the TCG. Yeah, you probably should, and get some honey. So this is, in Japanese, this is Kugadan no Sanbo Shiru. So making sure to put the sh sound in there. And his title translates as Seal Staff Officer of the Skyfang Brigade. So this is supposed to be, like an NCO, like a senior officer. Strategist works. It's just kind of, maybe taking some implications. I don't really know why he's called Seal, because he's clearly not a seal. He's some kind of weasel man? Badger person? He's very spiky. I do appreciate that he has a goggle eye patch attached to his horn strap. That's very funny. I also appreciate that he is clearly pictured with a mug of coffee. That is required. Big mug. And there's a map back there, which is interesting. It's a shame we don't have the full map, because that would probably let us come up with some funny theory crafting. Also, somebody probably spent way too long drawing that map. Yes, he has a big mustache. Mustache.
Oh.
And I'm noticing, I didn't realize it before because I'd never looked at all of them really blown up, but they do have a very interesting recurring design for their swords and knives. Like, a lot of them have the same kind of hilt and handle style, and I think similar blades. Very, very Roman legion, short sword type stuff. And it's kind of neat that they're uniform like that, especially as their actual dress code is not uniform. This guy's wearing a shirt and a coat and 2 belts. So, Seal Strategist for Hire is a Doc Beast Warrior, level 4, 1600 attack, 1000 defense. Main phase, do the special summon. If a For Hire is special summon while you control this monster, target a For Hire in your graveyard, add it back to your hand. So he reloops guys from your graveyard to hand. I'm pretty sure that Seal used to be more important, but now that you have tricks like Rex and Philo, not as important. He's still got a pretty decent stat line, though, and he is a level 4, so with Bravo, you can do, like, rank 4, 4-axis plays. So he's probably still in consideration, but it's not as important as it was when he was, one of your first blobs. And just like how, there was Dinah, and then there was Sagitta, who was kind of like, one level lower and more defensive focused. We do have another, main deck big hitter, our final main deck monster, to, kind of complement Rafal's stat line. And this is Wiz, Sage for Hire.
Good lady, I think.
Yeah, she's a mage lady. Not really sure exactly what sort of sea creature she's supposed to be. Especially because, chat, it's time to play our favorite game. There's like 9 of you in here. What type is this monster? Obviously, no, they're not all different types, because the two, Donpa and Recon are both beasts. But they have a lot of different types. All right, Architect guessed Thunder. Loth guesses Beast Warrior. Yes, okay.
Picking Aqua.
All right. Aqua, a very, very solid guess. Very, very good. And Zed has indeed obtained it. Yes, in case you didn't recall, Wiz is a spellcaster. So, while yes, that is true, this does not tell me anything else about what she does, because she's not even part of the water.deck axis. This is not a sea serpent, nor a fish, nor an aqua. So, yeah, no, she's a water spellcaster. It's weird. So, I don't know. Like, is she supposed to be an octopus pretending to be a woman? Is she a goldfish? Is she a sea anemone? I don't fucking know.
I think it's an octopus, but I think it's more defined by their profession and less what they are physically.
Well, yeah, but it's one of those weird cases where, like, the artist clearly had some design goals with the way Wiz is drawn. I cannot interpolate them with what Konami has given me. It's right, Architect. If you guess Thunder enough, you will eventually get it right. But yeah, otherwise this has all the hallmarks, like wearing a very classic, like, fantasy type costume. This even more retro RPG than I think some of the other for hires have been. Got a nice stick. The background is a little bit in soft focus, but very nice. You can see like the ripples, the details of the reflections, and the background behind it. Very solid stuff going on here. Surprisingly humanoid face despite all the pink anemone tentacles, but wearing a little veil. Which is good, because that means the artist didn't have to figure out what the fuck her face looked like. Which I'm sure would have been challenging. So Wiz, Sage for Hire, is a water spellcaster, level 7, 1600 attack, 2800 defense, so kind of, going the opposite direction from Rafali, like you said. If this card is special summoned, you gain 500 LP for each monster for hire you control with a different name except Wiz. If your opponent activates a spell or trap card, discard a card for hire negate. So this is your spell trap negate, and also heals you LP, which can be necessary because you do have a lot of little, guys, and as I said, you primarily play this as a control deck, so that can absolutely turn into a lot of nickel and diming your opponent and chip damage, so Wiz gives you a spell trap negate, arguably more valuable than Rafale, though. She has, like I said, this life point modulation effect and not that excavate. So you'd still probably play at least one copy of Wiz just for the negate. And some very funny stuff there. So, our remaining cards are spell traps and stuff, and then their one official extra deck type is Lynx. Let's see. Their first Link was technically Fulgo, their Link 3. That came out in Soul Fusion. Which, when was that? Yeah, so that was about same year. It was still 2018, but it was about 5 or 6 months later. So, Well, since I already mentioned him, I'll bring up Fulgo. Who I think is a source of more memes about these people. This is Fulgo, Justice for Hire. Kukeda no Taigi Fulgo. Fulgo, Justice of the Skyframe Brigade. He's a wolf samurai. He's a samurai wolf. That's it. Again, the detail work, fucking killing it. All those little cherry blossoms and falling in the fucking full moon. Real good work. And then Fulgo's got, like, it just looks like a normal-ass wolf, but then straight up has, like, anime pretty boy hair as well. It's a little weird. Got a very fuzzy, sheath for a katana. Over-the-shoulder stuff. Loads and loads of fur trim everywhere.
I think it's cool as being, like... It's not... I guess it's, like, it's a fantasy Ronin, as in, like, it's being, like, it's like a Western-style Ronin kind of aesthetic.
Sorry, it said Bara like a rock. Oh, why do you say such things, chat? Yeah, no, it's a good pose. It's a good aesthetic. I mean, like, it's going ham on the fur trim, but they're fucking for hire. What do you want? Like, this is what the aesthetic is. It is a little separate from like how most of the others are. That's like you said, like, oh, what does this guy represent? I genuinely do not know. I don't think that for hires have had like any lore books or anything. So just like. This is just, what they kind of imagine, they're extra spicy guys to be. It could be that with, because the next one will be, blade or dagger for hire. It could be that we're going for kind of a different vibe, that even though obviously Fulgo is clearly of the Skyframe Brigade, he has a different, position as kind of a wandering hero of justice or something. Anyway, Fulgo Justice for Hire is a Dark Beast Link 3. It has the forward arrow and the 2 corner arrows. Pretty typical, for Link 3s. 2400 attack. A little low for a Link 3. You can get some spicier, but it does actually have useful effects, so it's in there. I think the primary thing holding Fulgo back is, well, admittedly for several years this was their only Link. It is still 3 monsters with different types exactly. So not like 2+ monsters with different types, so there's no Link climbing. Cannot be used as Link material. Again, no Link climbing. I do not think the Skyframe Brigade are part of the Skyshaker universe. I mean, they could decide to do that. I'm going to say that, Konami, if you did that, that's dumb, just because they were in the same pack. Next thing you're going to tell me that Rei fights vampires? That would be more anime appropriate than putting the fur hires in there. Aesthetically, they are just completely unrelated. Anyway, Fulgo can't be used as Link material. If this card is Link summoned, you can special summon a monster for hire with a different type from the 3 monsters used for its Link summon from your deck in defense position. If a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, draw 1. If you control 3 or more monsters for hire with different names, draw 2 more. You can use each effect once per turn. So, Fulgo should be an amazing, piece of control. This is a Link monster that summons from deck. It doesn't negate or anything. It just fetches you a guy from deck that was different than the 3 you used for its mats. It does not technically require for hire monsters, just different types. And if any card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, such as if you summon, Donpa or Recon, you get to draw 1, and then if you control a lot of for hires, you get to draw 2 more cards. Draw 3!
And you need more cards in hand that do more play, so yeah.
Yeah. I think the primary problem this has is, this to me says a lot about... Konami basically made 2 kinds of Link monsters in the early Link era of the 2018s-ish.
Standers and finishers.
No, I'm talking about like design of Link monsters. They either made them harshly archetype-focused, or they made them really generic. Fulgo is unfortunately of the No. This is the last Link you're gonna make. You do not make Firewall Dragon in this deck. How dare you? Stop that. Even though you can easily make Firewall Dragon in this deck.
They should have made Firewall Dragon like way more limited to use, but that's just.
Well, they did. They did fix it. They eroded him to fix him, but he was around for a long time because.
I was more thinking of like I was more thinking of like the Boral one of the Boral Link 4s and shit like that. It's like I feel like they should make certain cards should have been more locked.
Yeah.
To certain...
Well, so the problem with this, the reason why I don't think Fogo is gonna ever be popular is Fogo is a Link 3 that requires exactly 3 Link materials, so you need to get 3 monsters on board. You can't Link climb through lower shit. And with Fogo, anyway, your Link play stops there. You cannot use Fogo as Link material. On the one hand, this means that your opponent can't, like, closed Goddess it away. On the other hand, this means that you cannot go into any Borals, despite the fact that you are a summon spam deck. You can't use Fogo as most of a Boral. You can't use him as most of an access code. Any of that shit. So it really hurts the, like, future viability of the deck for, like, other higher level Link plays. And while its effect is good, Fogo doesn't do anything on its own. It's a Link 3 that then extends from your deck with limitations, obviously, and then hopes that you extend into a pop of some kind. Then you get to draw 3, and that's not even a finisher, that's just another extender, you know? So, like, Fogo's really weird. It is an extender, but it's also clearly supposed to be the end of your combo, but it's not actually, like, it doesn't, 1, your combo doesn't stop there, because, like I said, you want to be summoning and drawing cards and shit, and then, 2, but then you can't do anything with those resources that you couldn't have already done without bothering to summon Fogo, you know? Like, he's such a weird case where I see what Konami was going for, and if this was in an archetype that was maybe a little more competitively biting, or arguably if they hadn't played it this safe with, like, the conditions to draw 3 cards, this could be a real zinger. Unfortunately, this card came out in Soul Fusion in the year 2018. That contained, let me see, let's see, Dino Wrestler Pankratops is in that set.
Oh, boy.
Some Salomon greats like Jack Jaguar, Falco, Foxy, all of the new Thunder Dragon support, Hawk, Matrix, Dark, Roar, Duo, etc. Titan and Colossus. Longgearsu is in here. Orcustrion. Some Summoner. Yeah, basically, For Hire could have been one of the decks you talk about in Toss, but instead of getting, Thunder Dragon Colossus or Longgearsu or, one of those other spicy boys, they got Folgo instead. And it's just not enough gas. It's one of those cases where Konami did not cook as hard with this archetype as they cooked with other archetypes, and it just didn't have the spice. Which is a shame, because, I would prefer a extender-type boss to a, Towers-type boss. And now we're going to talk about their other new support, the Link 2 that came out very recently. This is Donner, Dagger for Hire. Honestly, they probably could have translated this as Donna, because it's Kugan no Kaiken Donna. MBT did a funny punch-in meme of this card a couple of times. It is a little... I think there are some bits about this that are a little funny. Okay, clearly, it's a dog lady. Her hands are huge, which is kind of funny. Though she's wearing a deep, V-neck tunic. But then she's got, something I think I can only describe as, weird Pokemon trainer hair. Or weird Pokemon head hair thing. Because she's got, a pink-striped boomerang in her head.
I will say it's interesting that, she feels like she's Folgo's partner, because it's they're both basically because if anything, it feels like they're the ground team.
Yeah, I don't.
Everyone's feel like they're the ship crew, and they feel like they're the ground team, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is literally Dagger of the Skyfang Brigade. So I don't maybe the Link monsters are their Black Ops team. Justice of the Skyfang Brigade, Dagger of the Skyfang Brigade.
Yeah, they're weird. They're the Ronin Kill Squad.
They're ninjas. It's a good costume. Like, the proportions are a little funny, but they clearly got the same artist to come back and do this art because, again, the background work here fucking phenomenal with the blossoms and the the flowers and
For
the
real,
obscured
she's
moon.
just a She's just like a Digimon.
Oh, yeah, this is probably a Digimon.
She's just like a dog Ronin.
Or Digimon.
She's got like a Wakizashi dagger, you know? Or a Harakiri dagger, technically, because it's straight.
But yeah, pretty normal little Tonto. So this is their like I said, their other most recent Lega type support. This was also in Darkwing Blast, which was late last year. Oh, this card's already out in the TCG and is not censored at all, actually.
They've got a Master Duel right now.
Yeah, no, she's out. They've done nothing. I can only imagine the out of all the things, this is the one where Konami went like, no, kids won't get it. This is if we censor this, we out ourselves as furries. Let's not.
Because it's not.
I mean, like you can't actually see like her navel or abs or anything.
I mean, like you can kind of see like that she's kind of like she looks very thin, I guess, under there because like you can see like there's a weird like curve in there. Yeah.
She doesn't actually have cleavage because it's covered up by her fur. Like it's so yeah, it's just a funny case where I don't think
like you can see that she's a lady, but there's like nothing like outright like titillating, I guess.
Okay, yeah. I think they did redraw it a little. The Japanese version does have a slightly more pronounced cleavage line. They just like removed some of the shading and made
I guess like move her clothes, like pull her clothes up a bit, I guess.
Yeah, you see that red triangle in the center? They scooched that a little. Like they just made it so that the actual cleavage line is hidden. It's not actually that big of a deal.
I don't think
and it's not really that bad anyway. But yeah, they didn't actually fuck around with like her V-neck or anything.
I don't think they fucked around.
So Donner is an Earth Beast Warrior, Link 2. She has some interesting arrows. She's got the directly bottom one and then the bottom right, so kind of forming that side. She's only got 1600 attack, too. She requires exactly 2 monsters with different types, so is, like I mentioned before, completely generic. It says you can target 1 monster for hire you control and 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy them. So she has a pop. I assume this is also, by the way, to help set up, like, you go into Folgo, then you extend into Donna to set up for the draw, kind of a thing. You contribute 1 monster, special summon 1 monster for hire from your hand or graveyard with a different original name than that tributed monster. Then if you tributed a Link monster, special summon 1 more such monster. You can use each effect once per turn, only once that turn. So, I'm not really sure, because you mentioned you think you've seen her in some generic decks, and I think I have 2.
She's in the cash list that I have.
Interesting. Well, what's your target? Or is it just that she's a Link 2?
She's one of the only Link 2s. You said she's the only one of the Links you play.
Oh, right. Actually, I bet, because some of your...
I looked up a bunch of, like, top decks and, like, the latest things, and she's, like, one of, like, the 3 Links you actually play.
Yeah, I guess I mean, other than just getting a Link 2 so you can clear zones, I mean,
I don't know why, because it's like her, because Headley, you have to pop herself to do it.
You can pop herself to do that. I guess the engine play would be like a Rex line.
I guess I don't know what cards. I guess because it said you have to pop a. I thought it said like a beast or something, but like
no, it's tribute any monster. It's her pop effect is target a fur hierarchy you control and a monster your opponent controls. That's a self pop.
Yeah.
But then her effect is tribute 1 monster, special summon for hire from your hand or graveyard with a different original name, and then if you tribute a Link monster, so you can tribute herself, you can special summon 1 more monster. So she basically in for hire, she basically resets herself. You can have her tribute herself to basically immediately bring out 2 Link mats.
And then you can summon her back from graveyard with other cards.
Yeah, and other stuff like that. Both of her effects are hard once per turn, but still, like it's a good card. Oh, okay, you're playing instead of Diamond Direwolf. Yeah, I mean, that works. You can't make Direwolf in cash.
You don't reliably have 4s.
Yeah, so I guess it makes sense because she is a generic Link 2 Pop 1. I would... Well, I guess it is the extra deck space in cash tight because I guess you could play just 1 of Donner as opposed to playing 1 each of Serb and Phoenix.
Honestly, yeah, that's really it. You don't really play Serb and Phoenix.
Yeah.
Mostly because you don't really have mostly because she's a tribute, not a discard.
That's true. She's target and self pop.
So I don't really think you did. I don't think you want to discard much.
No, you probably don't, because those normally go to your graveyard. You want to be banishing. Also, you want to summon all the boys. But yeah, so because she is a Link 2, this is basically a generic Link 2. So long as you have 2 different types in your deck, this is technically a generic alternative to Nightmares, but not in like a really bad way. Oh, it's Loth. He's finally here. His computer is activated.
Hi, dying.
I'm gonna have to go see my fuck you, Axe. I'm gonna have to go see a doctor at some point. My throat is still sore.
Have you taken any cold medicine? No, that's stupid. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah,
sadly I missed out on the Furry archetype.
Yeah. I did kind of hope you would be here because you were one of the ones that played this in our prog. Not the only one, but yep. there were a couple people who had access to this. Oop, careful. This might need some honey.
Maybe some...
Yeah, I don't know why it's bad today.
Probably something to do with air quality. Like technically, right now I'm actually kind of a little dry mouthed because it's been warm, but there's been a cool front coming through, which is lowering the moisture in the air, so it's kind of dry.
I was getting sick all week, and then I got some cold medicine for I took it for 2 days, and I've been relatively getting fine.
By the way, hey Chad, if you live in America, be careful with your cold medicine. There was a recent FTC expose that certain active ingredients aren't actually active. They don't do fucking anything.
Oh.
I don't remember what ingredient was off the top of my head. I mean, if you're feeling better, that could just be placebo effect, but probably means you got some actual real shit. But yeah, it's just a funny thing to talk about cold medicine.
I think that usually works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dayquil and NyQuil are real shit.
That's those real. Are they're successful because they work.
Yes. But yeah, so this is the extent of their monsters. In Archetype, I think Donner does do a lot, like I said, because basically she gives you something to go into after Folgo to set up the pop to draw 3, depending on if you've got the monsters. And again, because she has that tribute effect, tribute any one monster to summon a for hire, and then if you tribute a Link monster, you summon one more, so like you get to do Link plays. She also is actually Link material, so hey, you can use her to go into shit like, access code or whatever. Like if you've got the monsters, you could I don't know, you could make Donner and then for another pop make like a Nightmare Serb or something, or a Phoenix, and then tribute Phoenix to get 2 monsters and then summon a IP so you can go into access code or something stupid, Like, she's not enough to actually take for hires out of being rogue, really. Though again, like I said, these guys did get a 5th place in a regional with Donner and with Rex. Actually, let me go back and pull up that list.
Yeah.
But they're still, I feel like, mostly in the rogue zone. But Donner is a much more accessible card than Folgo. Still works with Folgo because you could, after you get Folgo to draw 3, you can fucking sack him and then, do something else. Oh, wow. This person's running 1 copy of Dinah. Okay, so this is the list that this person, Alan Vera, who got 5th place at the Madison, Wisconsin regional. Their deck is they're running 3 Ash, 3 Beat, 2 Druisworm, 3 Magnum Hut, 1 Saronir. So they're running a decent Bestial package. 1 Donpa, 1 Dinah. Honestly, given that they've got Bestials in here, that probably does make sense for Dinah, because that just turns off a whole shitload of Bestials if you do it right. 3 Philo, 2 Ghost Bell, 2 Rafal, 1 Recon, 3 Rex, 1 Seal, 1 Wiz. So, almost all of the names, except for, like I said, Dagitech, because she's bad. Spells, 2 Mayhem, 1 1-for-1, called it. 3 Prosby, 1 Rhoda, called it. 3 Rookie for Hire, and Traps, just 3 Imperm. Extra deck was Access Code, Appaloosa, Dark, 2 Donner, 2 Folgo, 1 Gigantic Sprite, you do have Link 2s, and also level 2s. 1 IP, 1 Unicorn, 1 Linkaribo, 1 Almirage, 1 Sprite Elf, you do have 2s, 1 Sprint, and 1 Underworld Goddess. Side deck was just 3 copies of DD Crow, 3 Cyclone, 3 Dark Ruler Nomo, 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance, 3 Evenly Matched. So, yeah, this is... basically, I have described to you the shell of a good generic engine. Like, you have the main deck space to run your primary archetype You've got room for a supplementary engine. This use Bestials, obviously, plus hand traps, and you've got extra deck space to play the greats. I assume that probably what caused maybe this not to get any future play was that the Sprite chunk of the package went down, and I think, Magnum Hut is limited now, I think. Or did they ban him? Did they ban the Hut, or did they limit him? Oh, yeah, actually, I should say this. There was a fucking TCG ban list that was announced. It was like 3 cards, which is why you probably don't remember it.
It was like 5 cards, but like...
Well, like 3 cards got limited, and they unlimited like 3 more cards. We might look at it briefly at the end.
Yeah, I might as well show it because it's like it's only going to take like 20 minutes at most.
It's a funny ban list. So like it's not really great, but yeah, there's the list. He's limited. Okay, so keep that in mind. We do have a couple of spell traps though. I wanna throw out there. Again, probably don't need to grab too many of the arts, but they have very punny names. And I do want to pull up the art for the field spell because it is a good comprehensive look at what we're looking at here. This is, as I mentioned before earlier, Fandora the Flying Furtress. It's a big airship, very, very classic Final Fantasy type airship, but they also have an adorable cat balloon, and then there's also Donpa's little sky fighter thing.
It also looks water operational.
Yeah, it's kind of got a little bit of a whale shape. It can probably land in water if they need to. So yeah, this is their field spell. Pretty good. Not a lot to actually say. Its name in Japanese is just... so it's, by the way, doesn't have the Sky Brigade name in it either. This is just Hiryute Fandora. Flying Dragon Ship Fandora. So, hey, this is a card that is really good, in case you forgot what it does. And this one... Yes, this was there. They were released with the field spell right out the gate. So they've always had this card. Fandora the Flying Furtress. During your draw phase, before you draw, you can give up your normal draw. If you do, add 1 monster for hire from your deck to your hand. If you control 5 or more for hires with different names, you can send this card from the field to the graveyard. Destroy all cards your opponent controls, but also they take no damage. So, Fandora was a good card when it came out. I think now you didn't see it in that for hire list because it's too slow. The draw phase replacement is a rare effect in Yu-Gi-Oh, but when it can work, is pretty spicy. Like, literally, this lets you add. If you can get to turn 3, you can add any fucking for hire you want. That's pretty great, rather than do your random shit. I think this card would be better if it didn't have the no damage effect. Unfortunately, especially now with cards like you can just play Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, etc. You can just play board breakers. Like I said, that deck, the regional deck list had like Dark Ruler and Cosmic Cyclone in the sideboard, you know. So this is a field spell that's kind of gotten a little outmoded. I wouldn't mind if Konami gave for hire a second field spell. Maybe do something with whatever the fuck the moon and the cherry blossoms, you know, Fulgo and Donner are hanging out in. Maybe that's the secret hideout of for hires. Hideout for hire! Oh, Konami, come on. Giving you gold here. That would also make it searchable by Rex.
Yeah.
So, Fandora was a good card, but I think it has been outmoded by other options. Like I said, if you've got 5+ for hires on your board, you can just make access code talker. But yeah, still cool art and a decent card. That's, like I said, a little outmoded. So let me see. They only the main thing I think this deck, like I said, needs is they do need a couple more spell traps because they've only got like 4. Like actually no, they've got 3 in archetype spell traps, and then they have the field spell, which is not technically in archetype. The thumbnail I used, which is just Dyna Magica and Rafali hitting a cool pose, is Mayhem for hire, Storming Skyfang Brigade, or Repa no Kugodon. That is a quick play spell. Target a for hire in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. You can only activate 1 per turn. Just in archetype, quick reborn. Good card. Good extender. Oh shit, are all there? Well, they have a continuous trap and they have 2 quick plays, so they got a lot of quick play spell cards. Rookie for hire, which is Shinpu no Kugaden. It's just beat Donpa and Philo being cute. What's that, chat? You want to see it? Okay. Oh, and Dinah's in the background. Dinah and Wiz are back there. And Bravo, it looks like.
Sorry, I just saw what Zed said in chat, and just, yeah, they took a rise hard behind the shed.
That's okay. That motherfucker was macro on legs. I mean, that really was the incidence of, you know, like, fuck a rise hard. All my homies hate a rise hard.
Sorry, I forgot the one in the front's name. Is he fucking posing?
Yeah, Beat's doing, he's hitting a JoJo pose a little bit. He's training with his sword, I think, but...
As the Chocobo one looks on and all.
Yeah. So this is a quick play spell card, Rookie for Hire. Again, like I said, the name was New Style Skyfang Brigade in there, so I think Rookie for Hire is funnier. Tribute a monster, special summon a Fur Hire from your hand or deck whose level is 1 higher or 1 lower. You can't declare attacks the turn you do this except for Fur Hire. You can activate 1 per turn. This is still a good card. It still gives you turn 1 plays, especially because you're playing a control deck where you want to set up a board anyway. And the fact that they have a bunch of different levels, this lets you do some funny modulation stuff. This may also be why that list was playing Dinah, because you could summon Dinah and then use Rookie for Hire to sack Dinah for Wiz, who is a negate. Yeah, that does probably mean that Recon's the older sister. I mean, her balloon is tied to the boat, so that might make sense. And then our last card is their continuous trap card. Training, Fur Hire, for all your training needs. It's just Kugan no Shuren, Skyfang Brigade training in Japanese. Once again, letting you know that they went all fucking out with these names. The art's pretty simple. It just shows Beat and Rafale training with wooden swords. Also, you can see, you know, Helmer back there, who is 100% done with training. I'm going to guess, yeah, it's Donpa. It's not wearing a shirt. So this is a continuous trap card that says, if a face-up monsters for hire you control is destroyed by battle, or an opponent's card effect, target one of those monsters, special summon a for hire from your deck whose level is lower than that original level. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, yeah, they have good spell traps. I mean, this one's a continuous one, so it's a little slow, but like it protects your guys if they're actually popped, lets you cycle into one that's lower, keeps your special summoning up and stuff. I think the main thing you want to keep an eye out for, like if I was to give these guys support, I would say give them a new field spell that's actually in archetype, so it's searchable. I know that they have monster and effect negates anyway, so maybe give them like an in archetype like solemn type counter trap, something that like if you control 3 or more monsters for hire, or rather it would be something like if your opponent activates an effect that would summon a monster's. That's, you know, while you control 3 or more monsters for hire, you can negate or something, you know.
Yeah, give us the in archetype Omni negate.
I mean, you don't need an Omni because you've got, I mean, it would be better if you didn't need both Rafale and Wiz, but you technically have 2 negates. But giving them a searchable counter trap that, like, stops summoning effects or, you know, other stuff like that would work. Please do not give them a skill drain.
It's a hand trap monster. That is both Rafale and Wiz just team up.
That would be funny, yeah. Or like a quick play spell card. But yeah, I genuinely think what this deck needs now is not main deck monsters. They have a decent amount of names. You need spells. You need like maybe like a Link 1 that does something, or another Link 3. Give them a Link 4 who instead of using Link material can tribute Fulgo and what's her face, Donner. It still counts as a Link 4, so you can Link climb normally, but also you can make it if you have your 2 Links on the board. You know, just I wouldn't mind some cutesy stuff like that. Because like honestly, for like I said, this is arguably a control archetype. This is all about basically digging deep and searching for 2 negates, and then you get like a huge advantage control. Like, it's all about, funnily enough, similar to Sky Strikers, it's all about that infinite conga line of assholes, but not in, like, you're seeing the same card over and over again, but, like, you see this whole squad. Like, there's I think some spice there that could be useful, and I think it is, again, they really need something in their spell trap department, not their monsters. I wouldn't mind more extra deck monsters, keep them up as a link deck, give them something to do, but they probably need some more spell trap support. Would maybe bring them up a little past Rogue. But yeah, that's for hires out of Dark Saviors. We've only been going for about an hour and a half, so I will pull up the ban list. Though, like I said, I've been very dry-throated lately, so I'm not averse to a slightly shorter one. Also, my sleep schedule has been super blasted lately. I am way behind on my fucking Final Fantasy 14 leveling. I haven't logged in like 2 days.
That's okay. I can log in.
Also, by the way, yes, Ice Barriers got more support. I know. It's weird.
Funny.
Yeah, it is weird.
The Infernoid support is actually helpful. Ice Barrier, I mean, I guess you could argue Ice Barriers needed some shit. But yeah,
How do they fit into the lore?
Well, one of them is Lancea, Draconic Ancestor of Ice Spirit Mountain, so I think that's the oldest one. That's a level 10 Water Dragon Synchro that is just Water Tuner locked and lets you special summon an Ice Barrier monster from your hand, deck, extra deck, or graveyard. So you can cheat out shit. And then if this card leaves its owner's control by your opponent, you special summon a Ice Barrier Synchro monster from your extra deck, which is treated as a Synchro summon, so you just get to fucking cheat Trish. And then I'm guessing the idea is that these are supposed to be the Ancient Past because their monsters are Georgius, Swordsman of the Ice Barrier, and Mirror Magic Master of the Ice Barrier, so like the Ice Barrier squad who bottled up the dragons. But Infernoid's got a new level 1 fusion monster, and they've got a Link 4, which is funny, and spells. Oh, here we go. We do have a category for Forbidden and Limited lists. All right. So let me pop this out so I can put it on screen. I'm not going to do the whole scrolling, like I said, because it's like there's literally 5 names on this list. Didn't Flameville technically get a support recently? I thought they did. I thought they made a new Flameville monster. No, Naturia's gotten support in the last, 2 years? A lot of people said, I think it was Pineapple was going to make Naturia meta again. Turns out it didn't, but plant soup decks do work.
It made plants better.
All right, so, okay. Let me try and grab what we're doing for window capture. Because, like I said, I'm just going to do the article on YGO organization because... Whoop, grabbing the wrong thing there. Because it's literally 5 cards. So, it's funny. Obviously, I don't think MBT has reacted to this at all because he was at YCS Cancun. Simo and Danny both crawled out of bed early when they posted this list,
and then went back to bed because there's only 10 minutes.
Yeah, basically. Oh, well, he hasn't posted a video about it. I'm sure he's tweeted about it. It's also pretty short, though.
It's probably just 10 minutes. It's probably going to be a 10-minute second or something. He hasn't put his clips.
I didn't even know when he posted the video then. I haven't seen it. Do I have too many YouTube subs? I literally haven't seen a banlist video. Unless he posted it today, while we've been doing this. But yeah, so this goes into effect September 25th. Forbidden, Just Kashira Arise Heart, go to jail, do not pass go, RIP Bozo, etc., etc. You guys should understand, because we did do the Cash episode very recently, why Arise Heart is kind of a pain in the ass. It's a little bit boneless Kashira, but Kashira is still viable in the TCG because you can still play the Shangri-Ira side of it. You can still play Diablosis, I'm pretty sure. Did he get limited or banned earlier? I don't remember. And, like, I think they just put Unicorn to 2.
Yeah. Hold on, I had to quickly go make a thing quickly.
We have limited Bestial Magnum Hut, Pizza the Hut. It's a pretty decent one. He's a pretty powerful card, and
Pizza the Hut.
Also accounts for Chaos Space. Dragon Link did just win Worlds, so like, it's probably pretty good. Chaos Space is an interesting case where Chaos Space is very similar to cards like Rhoda and like Tenki, where it's like arguably a very generic searcher. So while a lot of people were like, well, Chaos decks are not really tearing up the format other than technically Dragon Link, because that plays like Levineer and the white and black dragons. But also a lot of people I heard say, you know, I'm surprised we didn't hit Chaos Space before this. It is a very generic searcher. Hell, you can play, depending on the variant, I would play Chaos Space and Live Twin, because they're the Live Twin Kizika Lila can't be normal or summoned or set. Oh, I thought that was just the name of a tweet. But yeah, and then we did get some unlimits. Herald of Orange Light went back to 3. Ishizu is mostly dead, so that probably is okay. I think Ava's still banned, so it's not like Drytron's going to come roaring back.
Ava just needs to stay dead.
Yeah. This probably is technically a buff to Mikanko, because I think they are Fairy compatible. Like, they play Diviner and stuff because they're a ritual deck, so, like, there's something there. And Gazelle to 3. You're welcome, Salad. 4 more years. But yeah, no, arguably Gazelle probably stayed at less than 3 for a little too long, but Salomon Great decks are coming back. You know, they actually did, I think, grab a couple of tops with their new support in Duelist to the Flame, so, like, yeah, we got some shit. Okay, Diablosis is banned, thank you. Alright, so yeah, you can play Boneless Kashtira. It's not optimal, but it still might exist. Though, arguably, in his latest TMT, MPT's been dunking on Kashtira a little bit, and I think I kind of agree. I don't know if it's because, like, the TCG is building it dumber or what. But, like, Kashtira does seem like it has a big risk of bricking. Like, if you draw, like, 1 too many guys and, like, miss birth, like, or you draw, like, just birth and no monsters and draw, like, all hand traps and shit, like, you draw no engine, you're pretty fucked. Yeah, I at this point, I agree with Filthy Casual. Having played Master Duel, I find Orcus decks, like, very annoying in resource loops, but, like, I think they could have 1 harp. Like, I don't think Orcus is cutting up the meta in Master Duel. You could give us a harp.
Yeah, a hard harp.
A single harp? That's fine, yeah. You could probably give him a harp. I mean, they fucking put Engage, like, to... Oh, shit. Is it Engage at 2 or 3? Let me pull up the fucking real... The real Forbidden Unlimited list. Let me just scroll this. Okay, so let's go to what? Let's see, limit 1, semi-limits. So our cards that are semi-limited are just Desires, Storm, Runic Fountain. Engage is still at 2, Sprite Starter at 2, Runic Fountain at 2. God, these are all... Why does the semi-limited list exist? These are all terrible. Like, literally all of these, other than Mali, should be at 1 or at 3. By the way, Runic Fountain 1. Fuck you. You know what you did. It's a soft once per turn.
Yeah.
It should be at 1. That is what I feel like the limited list is made for. But Desires doesn't need to be limited. Again, what? Who's crying about Lightning Storm at 3? I don't think you have to ban Unicorn, but I'm pretty sure he's limit 1 in the OCG. That would probably be safer. I really, speaking of soft ones per turns, I really don't like Engage at more than 1 copy, but I don't... Skystriker hasn't really been doing anything.
What they should do, just to really fuck over anyone playing Hero, just Malicious to 1.
That would really fuck over Hero for no reason. But yeah, so... Like what are our limit 1 magic spell? Void,
Smoke
instant.
grenade. Oh wait.
Yeah, smoke grenade is banned. Smart one. Our banned spells are Brilliant Fusion, Alma, Cards of Safe Return, Chicken Game, Cold Wave, Confi, Duo, Defy, Trunade, Charity, Heavy Storm, Kaiser Coliseum, Last Will, Mass Driver, Metamorph, Mirage of Nightmare, Mystic Mine, Painful Choice, Pot of Greed, Preemie, Smoke Grenade, Snatch Steals, Soul Charge, Grass, Forceful Sentry, Zodiac Barrage. All of these are good bans. Keep them there. Keep in mind, Zodiac is like one of the most banned archetypes because Broadbow and Dryden are back in jail as well.
Yeah, I was about to say because I looked up and saw them there. I'm like, yep.
Are there any other Zodiac? Okay, there's no more
stay.
Zodiac cards at 1. We did bring Denglong back to 1, which isn't really doing anything. Magnum Hut's now at 1. But also, by the way, they remind everybody, Cyber Jar at 1 is legal. Not doing anything.
I love seeing the fucking left all the forbidden ones up there.
All the Exodia's limit 1, Circular limited 1, Misk at 1, Lunalight Tiger at 1. Honestly, you could probably put Tiger at 3. I just played I got my rewards in the King of the Island Festival and Master Duel with a Lunalight deck. Having multiple copies of Tiger doesn't really do anything. I know it's only a soft once per turn for it to recycle from Graveyard, but like... Lunalight is a deck that is completely dependent on you drawing a couple of very specific Lunalight names and a fusion card.
So, as someone who plays the archetype, I see Astrograph there in the limited list, and I personally say he should stay there.
Pendulum Soup decks, he needs to stay at 1. We got Blaster back to 1, which is very funny. Obviously, you've got, Collapse Serpent and White Dragon at 1. All of our tier limit names at 1. Rapier is also still on the list. That's right. She's at 1. All of the Ishizu names are at 1. This is, again, why I think they can let Herald off the list. Monkey Board's still at 1. Regular Morphing Jar at 1.
I remember when they took fucking Skullcrobat Joker off of it.
Yes. Also, hey, reminder, they banned Ronin Toad and unbanned Substitute, and Toads have not killed anybody.
All the Tilament names, let's go.
Yeah. So, like, I think in general the ban list is in a pretty good place. There are probably some cards I would like to see on it that are not, and maybe some I'd like to see off it. The main thing is just, again, there's 5 semi-limited spell cards. Why? What does this do? It makes them that little bit more consistent. I mean, for Engage, that doesn't do fucking anything. You can search Engage.
They always just, search at the one Engage and just keep looping it back with that one fire one.
Like, Starter's a little chaotic, but they are searchable. But in that case, you should limit it so that they can only play 1. That said, honestly, I mean, depending on how you build a Sprite list, Sprite doesn't necessarily care because they like Starter for extension, but they might prefer to hard to draw it so they can play Smashers. They can search Smashers, but also you could do that the other way. You could just play 3 copies of Smashers and hope you hard draw Smashers. Oh yeah, they did tuck Pearly a little bit. They don't want those guys to take off.
Just softly hit them with the newspaper.
Yeah. So there's some cool stuff here. But it's now about 10 p.m. We've been going for a while. It's time to wrap up. I can announce, first of all, number 1, we have a winner for the poll, the Patreon poll for our Failed Portrayal bonus episode. That will be next week, because that's the last Tuesday of the month. So that'll be fun. And thanks to the efforts of the peoples and me in probably yelling at people to, reconfigure some things, Trickstar won with 4 votes. Spiral at 3, just behind. Trap Trick at 2. Bujin at 2 also. Gimmick Puppet still 1. And I think those, I know I do let you guys multi-vote, but I think that's still pretty spread because there's 12 votes total. So it's not like everybody voted for everything, Like, they're pretty spread out.
The win streak is over.
Yeah. I have killed Lost Streak. We're going to do Trickstars, which I put in the mix because that's a deck that I play.
Instead of the trap-related Pretty Girl archetype, we're going to the idol Pretty Girl archetype.
Yes, the burn
Basically
focused.
the same gist.
Oh, Loth has a funny gif. I appreciate.
I know. I posted it in Fail Portrayal and also in Trad Games.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, we're gonna wind down. My intent is to, after this, while I will again refill up on my fucking water, because I'm kind of surprised I don't sound scratchier, y'all.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't sound like me.
But I'm generally quite dried out feeling. I'm gonna pop in there. Well, thank you, Zed. Like I said, I know some people did multi-vote, and you may have been the final, like, deciding vote because nobody else shifted, in which case, good on you that we did do that rather than make a tie. But, like, the votes do seem pretty spread out for the most part. It is indeed not like everybody's voting for everything. But also, like I said, I am going to post to Patreon just for general patron tiers. You know, a thread, you know, like a comment where you guys can leave suggestions for cards that you want to see on the Can You Guess If Cards Are Good. I won't be as funny as the thing MBT and Farfa did recently. That was pretty peak. I genuinely do not know if Farfa was real or not. I guess he was mid-subathon, so there'd be video evidence if there was, but, like, if he can say, no, with the exact same intonation, like, 5 times, chef's kiss. But I will post a thread to, like, take suggestions for if Lucky can get some Yu-Gi-Oh cards are good. That may turn into a poll at some point, but I'll just, like, do a general suggestion topic. So keep that all in mind. So that means next week, Trickstar, 2 weeks from now. Unless it is the Lucky thing. Again, we'll see how long it takes me to assemble the list. It'll probably be Sky Striker. That'll be a funny episode. So have fun, everybody. Thank you, Spirit and Lapis. That would require Lucky to do extra effort, which is not likely. I could float that one to him like tomorrow, but yeah, we'll see. He's usually pretty busy with stuff. Fun fact: if you were concerned you might not get Alan Wake 2 streams, Lucky and I talked about today, because I still want to do Castlevania Symphony of the Night after he's done with Hollow Knight, which will be next week. Knock on wood. But I want to do Castlevania as well as kind of like a short palate cleanser before we move on to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Lucky's already talking about taking off time early from work to get extra bonus streams on Thursday so that we can also do Alan Wake 2. So, like, we'll see if he's got time for extra projects. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like I said, please consider hopping over on Patreon and supporting us there so you can vote in Fail Portrayal polls. And like I said, check out that post I'm going to make about the Lucky thing. Obviously, you know, like I said, help me eat better, sleep better, be better by supporting us with your super chats, your channel memberships, and your super thanks. Also, hey, share this to your friends. You know, let them know about Fail Portrayal. You know any furries? Show them this video.
Oh, God.
They have it in. In the eternal words of Russian Badger, furries, please do not pipe bomb my mailbox. That is a sign of respect.
That's a waste of a good pipe bomb.
It's a very specific way to say that. I would like to remind the FBI and the ATF, Axe said that.
Yes.
It was a good pipe bomb, also a waste of a good mailbox.
Axe said that.
Well, that's about the postal
People
service.
get confused sometimes.
Mailboxes are very nice.
So,
I'm being stolen away. I have to go.
thanks all that support stuff.
The FBI came for him.
They got him. They fucking knocked him. All right. Okay, cool. Well, we'll rapidly get out of here. Please like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, drop us a sub, consider ringing the bell. And like I said, Patreon and channel memberships. We'll be back with more Fail Portrayal next week. Also, don't forget about tomorrow, Final Fantasy XIV. I have to sit at a table, an ominous table that has many cutscenes attached to it. See you next time. Goodbye, everybody.